New for you tonight at 6, young athletes collapsing, even dying during games or practice.
It has happened recently to several Connecticut families. Your reporter Owen Kingsley explains how lawmakers are pushing for a simple test that could save your child's life.
Looking at Tylon Lott, you'd likely see what his family saw, a healthy teenager.
There's no problems, no issues going to the doctor on a regular basis.
But a hidden danger was lurking inside Tylon's chest. Last year, the Holy Cross High School basketball player collapsed during a game. He went into cardiac arrest. Bystanders jumped in and saved his life.
I felt helpless because I couldn't do anything but watch them do their job.
Tylon's story has become a rallying cry for undiagnosed heart conditions in young athletes. Earlier this year, a Holy Cross hockey player collapsed after suffering a medical issue during a practice. In 2023, 15-year-old Elijah Rivera collapsed and died during a Windsor High School football practice. His family later learning he suffered from an enlarged heart. This week, the Public Health Committee advanced a bill to prevent these cases, which may include a mandate for students to have an EKG test to identify heart issues. That would only apply to students showing certain symptoms or who have a family history. Quinnipiac nursing professor Pina Violano has performed recent heart screenings around the state.
1 in 300 youth have a heart disease that they don't know about. That's a pretty big number. And a simple test like an EKG can detect up to 94% of fatal heart disease.
After their scare, the Lott family hosted a heart screening clinic where EKG testing found potential heart health concerns for several young athletes.
When he did the testing at the YMCA in Waterbury, there was like 4 or 5 families that needed help, and they got to him ahead of time.
This bill still has hurdles ahead, like votes in the House and Senate. There has been some pushback about the mandate for an EKG. Some state athletic associations have also suggested improving the current guidelines instead. If passed, this bill would go into effect for the 2027-2028 school year. Your reporter in Waterbury, I'm Owen Kingsley, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.